Let's have something light, refreshing, and with a bit of to it. No, we're not drinking Smirnoff Ice, Raspberry Crush, and Lemonade Spritzes, although maybe a few of those might actually help.
Julian!
Make my jokes funnier.
Got him! Got him!
QUICKSTEP has some very definable characteristics and movements within it, and so today we're going to be looking at some of the more definable ways in which we can move ourselves when we dance QUICKSTEP, as well as breaking down some of those popular QUICKSTEP figures. I've also added a bonus tip at the end of the video as well, so make sure you keep watching, guys. Let's go! Hello and welcome to the Dancer's Hideout, the place where you'll find all the tips and tricks to help you and your dancing. My name's Ian, I'm a professional teacher and former competitor with over 30 years of dancing experience and teaching. QUICKSTEP is light, energetic and full of style. Words which sadly don't come to mind when I watch Neil Jones on Strictly Come Dancing. To be honest, I don't think I should mention what comes to my mind when I watch him dance.
Fatality. Stop it. Get some help.
Poor Neil. When people dance QUICKSTEP, whether that's socially or competitively, the aspects that are involved in the way that you should move are never very clear. Just like the directions on your sat-nav or GPS system, which also aren't very clear. When you tell me that the destination is on the right, bruh, and it never is, and why do you insist on taking me down like a one-way street which I can't go down? Just wanting to go to the city centre for some shopping. And this might have something to do with the music and the speed of the dance. Not your sat-nav, the dancing. Nobody can help you with your sat-nav. Bruh. As many dancers, no matter what level they happen to dance at, try desperately to progress around the floor all the time when they're dancing QUICKSTEP. Which I imagine how everybody is feeling when they queue up to get on that plane for their holiday. Everyone's always inching past one another. And when those people that manage to get past you get on that plane first, and you walk past them in the aisle to get to your seat, there's always that air of slight... Personally, I just stare at them like this. I don't get to fly that often. As a basis for the thought of QUICKSTEP, let's see what Alex Moore has to say in his book, Ballroom Dancing. In an introduction to QUICKSTEP, he says, "The dance might be termed the joy dance of modern dancing. Whilst the basic figures are quite simple, the tempo of the music and the whole character of the dance seem to invite a carefree interpretation of its bright rhythm. The beginner will find the basic steps easy to learn and easy to fit to music. The advanced dancer will discover that the music lends itself to an infinite variety of steps." So let's take a look at some of the most commonly used movements within a QUICKSTEP. QUICKSTEP consists of two primary movements. Ta-da! And these are chasse movements and lockstep movements. These two types of movements assist in the progression that you make around the floor. And practically every QUICKSTEP amalgamation will use these types of figures. Just like every modern bar and restaurant seems to have those like dimmed, yellowy kind of like hanging lights. I mean, to be honest with you, most of the time when I go to the bar to get a drink, I'm okay, as I'm quite condensed in my height. But those taller people, they're either like staring at those lights when they try and make an order. Okay. Or they're either doing that weird left and right that you do when you're walking down the street and somebody's coming the opposite way. Do you go left? Do you go right? Maybe you'll jump over them like in a Mario game. Whether it's the basic form of those movements such as quarter turns, progressive chasses and forward locksteps, or its much more advanced form of pepper pots, tipsies and scatter chasses. Fun fact by the way, guys. Two of the most popular figures found in a QUICKSTEP, the tipple chasse and the tipsy, came about from one of the old dancers of the past when they went to dance a particular competition and had a few too many and they happened to stumble after trying to dance one of the standardized chasse movements, which actually happened to be in one of the biggest competitions at the time. I mean, that's right, you heard me. These titans of the earlier years of competitive ballroom and Latin dancing drank and danced.
Julian!
Absolute frickin' mavericks! Because this particular dancer had been drinking when this particular mishap occurred, he decided to name that movement the tipple chasse, as he'd had a little tipple drink before it happened. Allegedly, after having a few more drinks in the evening, he tried to replicate the same movement, only to stumble more quickly, which in turn gave birth to the tipsy figure that we now know of today. Now, I actually don't know to how much extent that this is actually true, as it happened to just be told by one of my teachers that I used to have. However, it is still a fun fact. Anyway, as I said before, the two main types of figures that could define a quick step are the chassis movements and the lock steps. The similarity of the two is the timing which they use. Just like in the similarities of Domino's pizza and Nespresso coffee seem to be ridiculously expensive. £20 for a pizza, are you mental? And then I've got to get like sides and a drink. It's like £35 for a pizza. £50 as well for a minimum order at Nespresso coffee. Although to be fair, I am more inclined to get the coffee, to be fair. I quite like the coffee. And they have these cute little pods that you put in and it makes you feel like a barista. Sorry. Let me show you. The infographic on the screen here shows the figure specifics for the progressive chassis for the leader. There's no bias here, guys, I'm just using it as an example. You'll see clearly here that the first step on the right foot is danced on a slow count. The second step to the side on the left foot is a quick. The third step has a closing action with the right foot to the left foot using the assigned for quick timing, and the fourth step ends with the left foot to the side with the appropriate slow count. Ladies, you will dance the same thing here, just with the opposite foot in use. So you will dance the left foot going forwards here on the first step using the same slow count as the leader, the second step using the right foot moving to the side on the quick count, the closing of the left foot to the right foot on the third step using the second quick count, and concluding step 4 with a side step on the right foot with the appropriate slow count. Now when we look at the forward lockstep figure, you'll find that also the same timing is used. However, the step pattern is slightly different. Let's take a look. Here we have the leader's steps for the forward lockstep. Step 1 uses the right foot placed forward on the slow count. Step 2 is placed forwards on the left foot using the quick count. On step 3, the leader will cross his right foot behind his left foot for the corresponding lock action, which is used here using the second quick count, and the ending of step 4 with the left foot moving forwards using the assigned for slow count. For the lady steps, step 1 is moving backwards on the left foot using the same slow count as the leader. Step 2 moves backwards as well using the right foot for the first quick count. On step 3, the lady will cross her left foot in front of her right foot for the second quick count, with the fourth step of the right foot moving backwards with the appropriate slow count. As you can see, once again the ladies are dancing the same movement, just in the reverse format. This time they're going backwards into that lockstep. So you'll see that both these figures have a lot of similarities, particularly where their timing is concerned. And because these figures are so similar, you'd think that you're watching that How I Met Your Father TV series. No, I'm joking, guys. That version of the TV show is terrible. However, with these movements, the defining difference is that one movement chassis to the side and the other crosses with a lockstep movement. Aside from this, the other key factor to keep in mind here is whether the particular movement turns or not. To learn more about turns and alignments, check out this video I made where we talk about the alignments and the amounts of turn used. Chassis and locksteps both belong to the same family type group, which uses a chassis characteristic and rhythm, which subsequently is reflected in their timing, even though their step patterns are very, very different. The primary aspect I'm trying to put forward here is the amounts of turns that are used. Locksteps are a very linear type of movement, and so they don't actually have any turn involved in them. Okay. Whereas chassis do have a slight amount of turn. This point is actually quite important and quite valuable to use, as any quickstep choreography is comprised of these types of movements, no matter whether you're a social dancer, beginner level dancer, or some form of competitor, whether that's an advanced competitor or not. The issue is that quite a lot of dancers get these two types of movements the wrong way round, which reminds me of how my brother mistakenly managed to confuse a toilet for a bidet. Long story short, guys, the cleaning staff were not happy with what they managed to find that day. The problem that people have is that they try to move and progress the chassis movement, and then they subsequently try to do some form of turning action with a lockstep. Look. If I dance little chassis movements to the side like this, then I will move, albeit only a little bit at a time. To help put this point forward, I'm going to highlight this with the infographic used for the leader steps. This is purely because they decide the alignment and where things move to from their leading quality that they produce to their partner. Because, well, they're leaders.
You serious?
This here is the infographic for the figure specifics used in the forward lockstep I showed you before. As you can see through the entirety of the figure, the amount of turn is listed as no turn. This helps keep the lockstep moving and assists in its progression. Now look at the infographic for the progressive chassis. You can see step 1 uses CBM to initiate the turn to the left. Feel free to check out this link on CBM and CBMP to a video that I made to get yourselves up to speed with that. Steps 1 and 2 incorporate quarter of a turn to the left, with step 3 using a body completes turn aspect, and step 4, as you can see, has no turn. So as you can see from those infographics, chassis movements turn and slightly alter their alignment and position slightly, and locksteps, they keep moving in a straight line to help with their progression. And it's really that simple, guys. No matter what type of specific chassis movement or lockstep movement you might happen to be dancing, the concept of that stays the same. So even if you happen to be dancing something that's a little bit more complex, like I said, the scatter chassis of advanced movements and pepper pot movements as well, incorporating a lockstep or something, like all these different versions, even though they're a little bit more complex and used by a lot more advanced dancers, the concept is still the same. Now, here's that bonus tip that I promised you. There are 5 family types of movements to be aware of when you're dancing quickstep. And these are running movements, jumping movements, spinning and turning movements, chassis movements, and swing movements. There's also trick steps, which we can include here, but I'll leave those for another day. The chassis and lockstep movements that we've been covering today belong to the chassis movement family, obviously, as their timing reflects what's used within that rhythm of that category. And jumping movements are seen more commonly in some of the more highly advanced figures that you might come across because of the level and quality of dancing that you produce at that level and the speeds that you're working with as well. So swing movements such as the natural turn and the running finish, as well as turns and spin movements, are the more common types of movements that you'll see within a general quickstep choreography. It goes without saying that also the chassis movements that we've been looking at today are also involved in that as well. To close, guys, I'll leave you with the rest of Alex Moore's introduction on quickstep. In most sports and pastimes, a sound knowledge of the basic work is necessary before any frills can be indulged in with any degree of pleasure. The dancer who masters the fundamentals of quickstep will have command of a dance that can never grow stale, a dance that is unquestionably the most attractive expression of rhythm the world has ever known. If you've enjoyed today's video, be sure to give us a like, we'll really appreciate it of course. If you want to see more from the Dancers Hideout, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button and make sure that you ding the bell icon so that you can stay notified for whenever we're putting out new videos and content. You can also drop down in the comments section anything that you found interesting from today's video or something that you might want to see in a future video. Let us know, guys. We also have a couple of funding pages which you can donate to help support the production of what we do here at the Dancers Hideout. These include our PayPal account and our GoFundMe page, the links of which I'll put down in the description section, guys. In the meantime, I've been Ian, this is the Dancers Hideout, and it's been a pleasure.